Mamdani. Mamdani.
Hey guys, we're here at Inwood Hill Park. We are at the top of Manhattan. And as we always say in New York City, we outside. We're going to be outside for the rest of the night because we're going to be walking the entirety of Manhattan. So come on out and come say hi. We'll see you there.
He walked all the way down Manhattan, meeting a bunch of people. Dude, there are so many sightings with him. He posted some of them, but a lot of them, like, a lot of people are just like, yeah, I saw Mamdani out there, you know? I phone banked for him today. He was in the Zoom call. He is either, like, the most physically fit man of his age imaginable, or he does a lot of coke. I have no idea where he gets the energy to do all this stuff. I do not understand it. It is crazy. Maybe he's just a natural extrovert. Yeah, no, genuine. Maybe he just, like, he just loves interacting with people, and that's all it takes.
Yo, man, look. Keep on getting it, Playboy.
Next man, baby. That's the next man right there. We here, we lit. Ah, that's it. Come on. You know, man. We ain't say no. This is New York City. Come on.
Thank you.
My dog. See, come on, man. Organic. I hope y'all rolling on that. I hope you got sound and audio.
Thank you so much.
I really
If Mamdani doesn't win this, I'm pivoting to a dictatorial style of socialism. Yeah, I think I kind of get where you're coming from. Past a point, you have to set aside all the distractions. They're like, oh, well, bourgeois media convinced them or whatever. And you have to, eventually you begin to realize why Lenin disregards workers' council. No, that was bad. Those workers' councils were based, okay? That was bad. He shouldn't have done that, okay? But imagine if you complete the November Revolution and then the workers' councils are all like, yeah, here's our guy. This is the guy we're choosing to lead the Soviet Union, okay? Andrew Cuomovich. I don't know, man.
Thank you so much.
Let's get it.
Thank you.
We're all behind you.
Thank you. Means the most.
So,
thank you so much.
Is that cool? We just do a little
October, not November. February, not November.
walk around. Maybe you talk a little bit about the neighborhood. Maybe see who comes up to you. That's what he's running on, man. It's making the city affordable for us, bro. I had to, like you said, I had to dip to Jersey because I have 4 kids and I couldn't afford to stay where I was at. You know what I mean? I love it here. I love coming outside and seeing my people, seeing my food, hearing my music. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't able to do that as a born and bred New Yorker, bro. That breaks my heart.
Now we're like, what's going on? This is my community. I remember when you couldn't walk in these parks. Now look, I could come here, sit down and enjoy, but I'm being displaced because I can't afford to live here.
Yeah.
I gotta go learn how to swim so I can live in the water on the sea. Yeah, because this is what it is.
He's seen the H-Bomber guy bit.
Rank my man #1. That's what he's running on. Affordability.
What's your name?
Mr. Vargas, Ariel, like the Little Mermaid.
Okay.
So you already halfway there for underwater.
My cousin doesn't believe that you're here.
Oh, yes,
and she's like, oh my God, send me a picture.
Please send it.
Yeah? Ah, future mayor! Oh my God!
Love the guy, but aren't rent freezes bad from a policy wonk POV? No, they're just not. They just these rent freezes are only for specific housing units. They're not for all housing units built onward, so they don't really affect the desire to produce like more supply of housing. The problem is, right, like that a lot of people don't acknowledge, especially a lot of neoliberals, is that they love the just move argument. It's so bad for the city. They would turn every city into Dubai, you know? Like you have a city core which you can only do anything in if you're super, super wealthy. And then you have the exurbs where people take 2.5 hours to commute to work so they can work all the jobs that keep the city core running, you know? But the city core itself is actually patronized by the uber wealthy who live in like the suburbs and only come down, so no one lives there. You turn it into Dubai. Like, that's what Dubai is. Who works in Dubai? Not the people you see in the penthouse parties. Slaves built Dubai, you know? Like the people, they live out in like slums around the city. That's what every American city, especially New York City, would turn into if you just let the housing price run uncapped upward, okay? Eventually you have to say, no, enough is enough. We want this city to continue to have an appeal to working class people. We want people who work here to live here. We want this city to produce culture, not simply be like an art gallery for people who live outside of it, you know?
I touched you. We're gonna hug you.
We got the young people, we got the DTs on deck, bro, the Wellas, everybody.
Lovely to meet you. Yeah. Thank you.
This is the yard right here. This is where fitness happens. I wanted to introduce you.
How you doing?
My name is Zero, but my name is actually Michael.
Okay.
I just wanted to say I appreciate you coming to the community. You know, this is something we don't really get a lot of credit for normally. This is the goal, you know, to show them if you're going to struggle for something that you're trying to get.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually going to use this to motivate my handstand right now.
Okay.
Let's see it. Let's see it.
Okay, Zero, get right.
Get right. Get right.
Zero.
Easy money. Easy money. Come on.
Focus on.
Jesus, man.
Come on. Look at this. This is what we bring it.
Oh my God.
My goodness.
Come on. Community building, baby. That's what we're doing out here. Us, bro. I thought he was gonna fall.
You know what I think about when I see stuff like this? Like because you wonder why it looks really clean. You know, why don't more cities have little like areas like this? And I think a lot of the times it's because people are worried it'll get dirty or full of vagrancy or homeless people or whatever. Like one of the things that makes New York special in America, right? This is much more common outside of America. But one of the things that makes New York City special is that people actually treat it like a community, not like a bunch of houses, the inside of which is your castle, which no one else must broach, and the outside of which is like the outside that you traverse to get to key destinations. You know, you have an actual neighborhood, an actual community, and as a consequence of that, often neighborhoods will stay well, not clean. It's New York City. What I should say is they stay pro-social even without like necessarily outside investment. Like to put a good example of this, there are so many parks and little recreational areas in Los Angeles that go to shit because nobody in the community cares about them. Nobody in the community cleans them up or looks over them or uses them, and because they're not used, they get treated as like dysfunctional spaces where, you know, people like vagrancy and drug use and homelessness and stuff. I've seen streamers get the police called on them for doing fun stuff at local parks. Ruroids are just anti-human. Yeah, no, genuinely, but it's not just Ruroids, right? Because in LA as well, it's like any city that doesn't have that that community attitude. New York City, and much of it does. And that's not the only city that does, of course, but I think that New York City is unique in America. So I don't know, like if you want your city to look nice, you have to treat it, you have to care about it, basically. You know what I mean?
My goodness.
Come on. Community building, baby. That's what we're doing.
You think the black suit is too harsh? On Mamdani? No, there's nothing wrong with the black suit at all. Actually, I think that Zoran, for the most part, dresses quite well. Like, I think he actually, relative to a lot of other politicians I've seen, dresses quite well. Not like really well. He's not like a sartorial, you know, he's not like a dandy or anything, but he dresses quite well.
Hey, us bro. I thought he was gonna fall. Yeah. I got nervous.
Hey, can we get a picture with you? His mom has been camping.
Look at that, bro. Come on. Come on, listen, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something real fast. Cuomo is not coming uptown. Hey, bro, my guy there.
Oh my God, the
He's
audio.
not coming up here. If he is, he's going to some private dinner event with a bunch of people that are not real people. We're here to park with some real people. You know what I'm saying?
I'm definitely voting for you. I already have my thing. I was going to vote tomorrow. I'm a teacher as well, so at school we all talk about you.
I've been canvassing for you, and then I just heard that you were here, so I wanted to meet you in person.
So much.
Hi, I just wanted you to know I'm a Jewish New Yorker, and I'm really excited about it.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you're doing.
That means the world.
Incredible.
What's your name?
Emily.
Emily.
Danny.
Danny, great to meet you, brother.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Hey, man.
I voted for him yesterday, like early voting. There were so many people out.
I'm sweating because I'm thinking about that rally last night. That energy in that building was incredible, man. But like I said, job's not finished.
Job not finished.
Man, what up, baby?
Get okay?
Hey, my brother. The hood, in the hood. Yes, sir. You already know. That's what it is, man. How you doing?
Yeah, man, I was just telling him.
The amount of PAC money Cuomo's bought in is insane. Pretty sure it's like 35 million. Yeah, the amount of PAC money assisting Cuomo is many times greater than the amount they're legally allowed to have themselves for the campaign. Apparently in the area, like people are getting buffeted with anti-Mamdani pro-Cuomo ads. Like he's the radio and television and stuff. They're dumping money into it.
Like, he's running for mayor, you know what I'm saying?
What's your name? Zoran Mamdani.
All right, you gonna look out for us?
Absolutely.
On the heights in the hood?
That's what it is.
Running to freeze the rent.
All right, yeah.
Yeah, Jesus Christ, look at this. Listen, okay, in my heart, I will always hold democratic principles, but if there are only so many black pills that you can take before you arrive at the inevitable conclusion of like, until Citizens United is revoked and we're back on the right track, so you have to drag the population kicking and screaming to a better future. You know what I mean? It's like it's like a reconstructionist attitude, but towards the entire country, because this is a Democratic primary. It's not the Republicans this time. Like you can't, you keep like selecting, like subgrouping and subgrouping, like more and more. Well, if we just, you know, got rid of the more conservative, reactionary, pro-trans Democrats, then, well, no, eventually you just have to shelf the whole democracy thing and say, no, you're getting Mamdani, your city will be better, and I don't care if you're upset about it. I'm LARPing right now. I mean, what am I going to do? Appoint him as vizier? Scheming vizier to Cuomo? It's nothing I can do.
Bro, that's why I'm down here with my man, because I was like, yo, listen.
Are you Dominican?
No, I'm not.
He look like it though, right? Yeah, he got that bubbles in it.
Take my number down.
See? So he's
I'm a barber. I can't hear my. Get a lot to see because this shit, look, right there. Unless you are better than that. Boom.
Why you gotta put me down?
I ain't putting you, no. It's good, but I'll do a better job. That's a 9. You already get the votes from up here.
Fall asleep.
No, don't have you lace. You get every vote in town, bro.
I'll fall asleep. My eyebrows will be done.
Hey, you young, handsome, you know what I mean?
Come on, there we go.
That's my number. Call me Diggity. Yeah, Diggity the barber. Diggity the barber.
Diggity.
Nice to meet you, my brother.
Diggity.
Yes, sir. Keep doing what you're doing, my brother. Yo, good luck, man. I'll vote for you.
Thank you.
Come on, man, number one.
You spoke to me right here. You chilling with us in the hood. You heard?
Come on now.
How do you feel about the idea of voters not getting access to programs they vote against? It's not really, like, doable. It would be very satisfying if you could do that, but in practice, you can't really do that. I do think, though, there should be some kind of vindictive governance by, like, in a democratic mandate against rural communities, like, broadly, to an extent. Like, how are you supposed to reconcile, for example, the fact that many of America's social welfare programs were overwhelmingly supported under FDR, and the way they got stripped and destroyed was white people being convinced that black people were getting too much use of them? That's how they got rid of, like, all of them, dude. Like, all of them. Every program we put in place, all of it, top to bottom, the strategy will tell white people to be afraid of black people using it. And it worked every single time. What do you do with that? Like, Jesus Christ, eventually, like, we can't keep falling for this, man. Did you see people being weird about Mamdani's wife on Twitter? I saw people being weird. The main thing I was concerned about was, like, how my eyes popped out of my skull and I said awooga, and then, like, little steam clouds blew out of my ears. She's gorgeous. And you know why she's gorgeous, by the way? It's not just the face, because obviously that's Kino. Face card, pass, check, okay? It's the fashion. I saw people talking about this, but her style, her sense of style is on point. And I think people appreciate that more than you might think. I think that, like, people love to pretend the only thing that matters about your appearance is your smile, your physique, and your face. And those are very important. However, style, very important. Here's just one photo of many, but I think you'll immediately understand. Yeah, I know, right?
Take it easy, bro. Take it easy. Yes, sir. Yo, what's up? What up? Yo, what's good? You voting? I'm voting. You voting? What you need? You need your rent to freeze to stay where it's at?
Perfect. That sounds good. How you doing?
I'm doing well, boss.
Good.
My name's Zoran. I'm running for mayor.
All you gotta do is put him number one. And don't put Cuomo nowhere on that motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Glad they're having fun. What was I doing this for? Oh, that's right. Yeah, he walked all the way down Manhattan. Long ass tie. Best slice in NYC? I wouldn't know. Not much of a pizza guy.
Days after middle school, I would come here, my poppy seed bagel, Italian cream cheese, rest in peace, Absolute Bagels. Although you can still buy some Pulp Tropicana at a supermarket near you.
Rip Absolute Bagels. It's a damn celebrity. Couldn't see Cuomo doing this shit, huh? Cuomo walking down, are you kidding? He's in a car and he's flanked by bodyguards. Still moving, still grooving. If he doesn't win, I'm gonna fucking lose it. I'm gonna lose it.
Let's go! You know Nealon, bro? Yeah. That's my guy! Let's go!
Is it okay to have this hat if you don't follow baseball at all? Is that okay? Like, no one's gonna come up to you and say, like, how do you feel about the Yankees or what? This is like one of the hats. It's fashion. It's one of the hats, you know?
We are now just 4 days left from the election. We have now been walking.
Get a Mariners hat. Doesn't have the same look to it, I'm afraid. Also, if I wore a Mariners hat in Seattle, people would ask me about it. They'd be like, hey, did you catch the game? And I'd be like, no. Yes. And then I would run off to the bathroom. And I don't want to be put in that position every time.
For Probably about 6 hours, and it is so exciting to actually speak to New Yorkers because everyone knows what's on the ballot this June 24th. It's whether we can actually afford the city that we call our home, and our campaign is fighting exactly for that, and we're fighting through the most amount of money that's ever been spent in a super PAC in New York City municipal history, and we're going to be able to overcome that because of you. So come on.
What are the polls saying? The polls are deadlocked. It's genuinely very difficult to tell. How blackpilling would it be if TV ads were basically like completely ineffective at winning Democrats' national elections, but they're very effective at helping Andrew Cuomo win local ones? That would be... Can he put this on TV? How much would that cost? Oh, this is the video we just saw.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. My name is Zohran Kwame Mamdani. And I know that there are many here today, and there are many watching and many listening, who may have seen an ad mentioning my name on TV, or a commercial on the radio, or a mailer in your mailbox, or a video when you're watching YouTube. And you may wonder, who is funding these ads? And it is in fact the same person that you were picketing just a few days ago. Because when Bill Ackman tries to take on diversity, equity, and inclusion, he also wants to take on any threat to the Trump administration across this country. And so just a few days ago, he spent another $250,000 on those same ads that you are seeing, and you are hearing, and you are reading. And so to quote the words of a famous New Yorker, allow me to reintroduce myself. I was born in Kampala, Uganda, in East Africa. I was given my middle name Kwame by my father, who named me after the first Prime Minister of Ghana. And decades ago, in Uganda, we won our independence from the British in 1962. We can clap for that. And when we did, the United States government gave the Ugandan government 23 scholarships as a gift for independence. And my father won one of those scholarships. He came to this country to study to be an engineer at the University of Pittsburgh. And sometime into his studies, his face buried in his book, he heard the words reverberate in the corridor around him, "Which side are you on? Which side are you on?" These were words being sung by members of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, recruiting students to get on the bus to go to Montgomery, Alabama. And my father got on that bus. He marched. He was hosed down. He was thrown in jail. He was given one phone call. And he called the Ugandan ambassador to the United States. He said, "Can you get me out of jail?" The ambassador said, "What are you doing in jail? We sent you there to study." My father said, "You sent me here as a gift for our freedom. They are fighting for theirs. It's one and the same." And so I was raised with this understanding that freedom and the fight for it is interconnected. And as I look across this city today, I am reminded that freedom is only worth as much as our ability to exercise it. Because we hear politicians of the past come on stages across this city, including this one, saying that they believe this is the greatest city in the world. But they do not answer the question that Dr. King posed decades ago. What good is having the right to sit at a lunch counter if you can't afford to buy a hamburger? What good is being the greatest city in the world if New Yorkers can't afford to live here? What good is it if our own people cannot afford their rent, their childcare, their groceries, even $2.90 for their Metro card? What good is that but making a museum of what once was in the city that we love? And so I stand here before you as an assembly member running for mayor with a very simple message. I am running to make the most expensive city in the United States of America affordable. I'm running to make it affordable for the working and middle class New Yorkers who built this city. And I also know that to run, to believe, it is not enough in and of itself. Because we know the words of James 2:14. Faith without works is death. If we believe in something, we must deliver something. That is how we will be judged. And when I believe in affordability, I will deliver it by freezing the rent for more than 2 million rent-stabilized tenants across the city of New York. When I believe in affordability, I will deliver it by making the slowest buses in the country fast and free. When I believe in affordability, I will deliver it by finally bringing universal child care to each and every New Yorker across this city. But I know that there are many who say that when you stand for what you believe in, you lose your ability to win. And I actually think of the words that Reverend Sharpton shared when he was running for president. He shared, there are those in the Democratic Party who have driven the party further and further to the right in the name of a winning strategy. And it seems that it is their presumption that the only way to be electable is that progressive forces and people of color must voluntarily turn into invisible people. And I have spent this campaign speaking to those so-called invisible people. I have spoken to the New Yorkers who do not see themselves in their politics, do not see themselves in their politicians, and do not see themselves in the policies that are being proposed. And what I have found is that it is time to bring those from the margins to the mainstream. It is time for us to make every New Yorker visible across this city. But when we stand up and do so, we will face the wrath of all the money in the world. And so right now, you will see more than $20 million being spent against me, $20 million being trying to redefine me. But let me tell you who I am. I am a man who believes in the possibility of this city. I am one who believes that we must win a new city, a city for each and every New Yorker, one they
not to devalue Mamdani, but from the way he speaks, and obviously you can get like there's a pretty close tie, I think, to the way he speaks and the way people like Martin Luther King Jr. spoke in this specific kind of like, you know, we as a people must rise up. Well, but I think the reason, right, so I just related him to MLK Jr., but I think the point I'm getting at is that there used to be a lot more people who spoke like this, and MLK Jr. was one of the last, and that's why we relate to him, right? Because if you take a look at writings from union leaders and socialists back during the beginning of the 20th century, I feel like people often spoke like this. It not necessarily with the same charisma. Mamdani is very charismatic, but I mean like this kind of speaking, right? Yeah, the cadence and the priorities and what you're addressing and how you're trying to speak about. I think I like we talk about it like we relate it to MLK. I think this is just the way revolutionary political actors, or at the very least, like, you know, countercultural political actors speak from the left. And it used to be common, and we've just experienced like a half-century long die-off of them. Like I think that what we're really talking about is an underlying current and tendency, like a recurring pattern that goes back a long time, and we've just not had it for a long time because, I don't know, neoliberalism, the Vietnam War, Watergate, because they all got killed. Well, no, like a few got killed, but I don't know. It's like, I think it's an assimilationist thing. You know what I mean? After the Civil Rights Act was passed, I think it became a lot more difficult to be as oppositional with the United States government as a black man fighting for his freedom because, you know, legally you were now on equal footing. Obviously, that didn't translate to reality. I think it's so much easier to speak like this when you have a clear enemy, right? When there's a very obvious like oppositional relationship. You have the working class and the owners. You know, you have pro-war or anti-war. You know, it's much easier to talk that way. You know, remember Muhammad Ali? No Vietnamese ever called me the N-word. Sorry, I know you guys aren't ready for what he actually said, but you remember that was Muhammad. It was him, right? He was the one who said that. Okay, just making sure. No one would talk like that these days, right? Like, can you imagine if like a famous black athlete made a comment like kind of close to that in tone? I think people would laugh at him. Even if it was over the subject of like, well, should you go to the draft? Like, should you be drafted for a war with Iran or whatever the else is going on? If he spoke like that, people would say, well, you're aura farming and that's great. But like, you know, what the are you talking about, man? No Iranian ever called me the hard R. It's exactly how he would say it. I don't know. There has been a very deliberate, long-term effort to weaken progressive activism by abstracting the line between oppressor and oppressed, you know? And this goes all the way across, right? To me, the most obvious example of the weakening of this dynamic is in wealth. Wealthy people watch the exact same shit you do, and they dress the same as you, and they talk the same as you. 100 years ago, wealthy people would walk around in like heavy, expensive three-piece suits with top hats. They would go to the theater. They had totally different lifestyles than you. Nowadays, wealthy people, they watch Joe Rogan. They spend hours browsing social media. You know, J.K. Rowling spends all day replying to tweets. Elon's probably brain cooked on Twitter and YouTube. You know, there's not, in terms of their behavior and culture and like class distinctions, there's basically no difference between a person like Zuckerberg and you. Now, in terms of power and wealth, obviously the difference is galactic, right? But in terms of like signifiers, It used to be if there was like a scuffle between the wealthy and the poor on the street, you would immediately see what you were looking at, right? If there was like a group of wealthy gentlemen walking down, you know, Broadway, and then there were some like gutter urchins yelling at them, you would immediately understand like where the lines are, what's going on. Nowadays, you see wealthy and poor people, well, for one, wealthy and poor people don't argue in public because how could they? How do you identify a wealthy person? Poor people, like off Depop or at thrift stores, they wear designer clothes now. Poor people wear Gucci. There's just too much of it. So like, yeah, there's no class divide that you can actually identify, which means that there's nothing to rail against. There's no easy signifier. Wealthy people don't dress the same as we do. They do. In fact, often they dress quite a bit worse. I think because of because wealth drains your soul and makes you less receptive to art, you know. But yeah, those distinctions just don't exist the way they used to. This is why so many people relate to Trump and Elon. Yeah, it's very dangerous how superficial our identifiers of class are and how difficult it is to identify people based on them now.
They can afford, one they can do more than just struggle. And to do that, we have to leave behind the old city and the old politicians and the old ways that gave us the struggle that we're living in today. So it is my hope to not only earn your consideration, to not only earn your vote, but to earn your partnership. Because what I want to do is lead this city alongside each and every one of you, and it would be a dream if you gave me that opportunity on Tuesday, June 24th. Thank you so much.
So what I'm hearing is we need new law that wealthy people have to dress differently. I mean, if you think about it in a historical context, wouldn't it be weird if a high-up member of the church in like 1500 France or a member of the royal family dressed in peasant's garb and just acted and walked indistinguishable? Like, the power the oligarchs have over your life is comparable to or greater than the power any random member of a noble family had back then. If you were a peasant just farming your plot of land, you probably wouldn't have your life affected even remotely by the royal family, apart from in the broadest sense. You know, you pay your tithe, you pay the grain or whatever, the grain tax. Nowadays, like, your day-to-day life is getting micro brain tweaks from neuroscientist developed changes to the algorithm that you consume when you scroll through social media to maximize the amount of time you spend on it so that you consume more ads. Like, in a day-to-day sense, your life is very massaged by those people. So I don't know. I don't know. I'm rambling. Just put the clip in there.
Donnie. Now, you know, I told all the candidates they had 5 minutes, but I didn't tell them the other prerequisite. You see, Zeron don't play fair. To quote Sharpton in front of Sharpton. Play fair now, Zeron.
I'll never get used to Skinny Al Sharpton. It is weird.
That was a chess move there. That's checkmate.
That's funny. Wait, that's Al Sharpton? Yeah, he lost a bunch of weight. I don't know how much clout he has these days. Like, he's quite old. I genuinely don't know. I don't know how much pull he has. I kind of hate him. Yeah, yeah. Did you see Clickbait Wasteland's Brooklyn interview? Why would I see that shit off stream? Damn, Clickbait Wasteland. What's up? You here to give us more ammunition in the war on the median voter? I'm telling you, if Mamdani doesn't win, I'm crashing the out.
Hey, we're out in Brooklyn today interviewing people about the upcoming mayoral election. Early voting actually started today. It's Saturday, June 14th, and the primary is on June 24th. So here's what people had to say. What's your name?
My name is Howard.
Nice to meet you.
What's your name?
I'm Megan.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah. And are you from Brooklyn?
Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn.
Nice. And who are you supporting in the mayoral election?
I forgot his name. Mundabi, whatever it is.
Mundami?
Let's go.
Yeah. That's what I'm going for.
And why?
I mean, I grew up here my whole life, and I don't know, I want something new. You know, he's young, he has good ideas. You know, he's something for the people. That's what I say. You know, I don't know too much about him, but I like him.
Where have you mostly heard about him?
Actually here, because I live in Florida too. Yeah, so I go back and forth. Yeah.
So you mostly hear about him through like word of mouth, signs, or...
You know what's crazy? I saw Instagram clip, like a reel, and then I was like, this guy look interesting, and somebody came to my my parents' house, because I live here, you know, I stay with my parents, whatever, and they were telling me that he's running for mayor, so I was like, oh, I know this guy, and they were giving me a couple things that he's doing, that he's voting for, and you know, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try I don't like Cuomo, I'm gonna tell you straight out, so I'm not a Cuomo fan. Yeah, so that's it.
And what's the top issue for you as a voter?
I mean, we are divided. New York City is divided. I mean, the whole country is divided. But I could tell you, I grew up here when none of this was here. When there was no lines, no benches. I'm going way back, you know what I'm saying? So we're just so divided. And it's like overcrowded, that's one. The rent is crazy. You know, it's terrible. So that's one of my biggest issues, like living costs to live here in New York City. You know, this is the Big Apple, you know, so it's like, it's not good. It's not good. So that's my biggest issue. Living costs and just, you know, making it more better and affordable for the people, you know.
Oh, this guy's hard to follow? You're not getting invited to the cookout. This is hard
That's
to
it.
follow? Are you ESL?
No, thank you. Oh, sorry, it's a little loud here. Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No worries, and good luck to everything you're doing. I hope you get some people to give you guys some good, you know.
I think part of the national sort of support that Mamdani has attracted from the American left comes down to white people who don't live in New York City who admire the ability to effortlessly speak with people of color and follow through with all of their mannerisms and hand gestures, you know? Like, I know for a lot of people in chat, you f***ed up a dap once, and since then you've been like reliving that shit at 2 a.m. when you're about to fall asleep every night. I think that for some people, it's like a fantasy that you could effortlessly navigate social situations such as those, you know, without risk of making a fool of yourself. Bill Clinton was dapping people up in the 90s. Yeah, and Bill Clinton to this day is famously known for being a black guy, right? So, you know, there you go.
Point of view from what they're thinking so it can help your channel. And yeah, you know, I like what you guys are doing. You know, it's good to see what's going on with people. Mike, you know, people are shy, you know, but they need to express themselves. But for me, I'm voting for him.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right.
You have a good day. What's your name?
Sarah.
Sarah, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
My name is Megan. And who are you leaning toward?
Cute cardigan.
For mayor.
I'm leaning towards not Cuomo. Because, you know, there's been so much out there about how I don't think will be a good leader for New York City right now. And I think it's really important that everyone educates themselves on the voting rules this time around with ranked choice. I think it can be really confusing for people, and it's honestly even confusing for me at times. And I think it's important to know what the outcomes would be based on how you're doing ranked choice. Yeah, so I think it's important, more important than ever, I think, to understand how it works and, yeah, to vote accordingly.
Cool. And what's your top issue as a New Yorker?
Oh, my top issue. I will say I think safety is a really important issue.
Interesting.
I think it's very divisive, and I think it's a really hard issue to solve. But I think it is really important. You know, I have a baby, and so, you know, it's something that I think about a lot. And I think the situation has improved a lot. But I know it's, you know, at the top of everyone's minds, including my...
Crime is down. Well, when people say safety, what they usually mean is homeless people and vagrancy. It's not actually like a crime thing. It's more like, and listen, okay, usually this talking point gets co-opted by fascists, but okay, if you're a fascist, stop watching right now. Okay. From a non-fascist perspective, like in a lot of America, you go downtown and there's literally, it's like pathologic, dude. There's literally like camps of homeless people. There's like marauding, like vagrants who are looking at you with a dead stare. They'll like charge at you to ask you for money. Look, nothing but sympathy to the people who are struggling. I can understand, however, being unnerved by this. You'd like walk down 3rd Street in Seattle, like past sunset. You know, it's, I can understand being concerned. And I do think that lefties should have solutions to this outside of just pretending that it's not a problem, you know? using strange language for them. I mean, I'm being a goof. I'm being like a goofy goober a little bit. It is a real issue though. And it's the Republicans' faults? No, a lot of these cities are Democrat run. Trust me, Democrats are plenty bad on dealing with these problems.
Mine, and so, yeah, that's important to me.
Awesome. Is there anything you want to add?
Don't rank Cuomo. That's my main thought.
I'm glad they're right on this
really
one.
important. I think Cuomo has shown New Yorkers that he's not worthy of being an elected official, and I really hope that we as a city can come together and avoid that.
So what you're saying is that it's just vibes around homeless people? To an extent, but like, let's not pretend that homeless people aren't sometimes, you know, menacing people. Not always, but like, yeah. It's actually not usually the homeless people, I think. It's like people around the homeless people who are kind of marauding. Like, for instance, with my beautiful partner, we had just attended a lovely, it was really cool. You probably wouldn't have gotten let in. It was a cool little music venue downtown in Seattle, over in Belltown, actually, at the Crocodile, if you care. It was you wouldn't get it. But we were walking back to where we parked, which was a while away, you know, and we were walking down First Street, and there was a person in, and I understand, depending on where and like where you live, this will sound totally normal or like really weird, but there was a person there walking towards us in a very dark street while we were walking forward, and they were wearing a balaclava covering their face entirely, beanie over the balaclava, full black, head to toe, jacket, shoes, pants, both of their hands in their pockets, staring directly at my partner and I, like swiveling their head to look at us as we got closer, and they were leaning in middle of the sidewalk towards us while we were on the like outer side. Now, I don't assume in a situation like this that they're going to like lunge or attack, but if they had, there was nothing I could have done about it, is my point. Like, they were right up there, hands in pockets. Like, there's nothing I can do. I'm just kind of trusting in the social fabric, you know? So I'm just hoping that they're not that guy. No concealed carry. I did not bring a concealed carry to the music show. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's because Vaush hangs at the type of preppy places that pride themselves in being exclusive. Fell for the bait. What the f was I saying? Oh yeah, anyway, like, we later ended up walking down Third. Anyone know the area I'm talking about? It's like, I think it's Third, maybe it's Fourth, but it's where they have all those hanging bulb lights on the street. It's like a little further north than the main than the main like commercial district, and you've got the like hanging bulb. Just show it on Google Maps. I'm not going to show it on Google Maps, okay? Does anyone know Pioneer Square? No, that's south of the main commercial district, okay? I'm talking north of there. Anyway, there was legitimately like 5 to 10 people wandering around there when we walked back who were just like, that's when I said pathologic NPCs, that's what I meant. They were making noises, they were wandering around, their moves were uncanny and unpredictable. They were making the eye contact, walking by, some crazy shit, you know, just like very antisocial stuff. And these people, I mean, they're you know, they're suffering, they suffer violence more than I do. I'm not going to pretend otherwise. However, I think you're thinking of Belltown. I just named the Belltown. I'm describing a specific intersection. It's literally Pioneer Square you're describing. I don't know why you're pretending to know more about the city that I live in than me when you're literally wrong. North of the Central Commercial District is Belltown, not Pioneer Square. Pioneer Square is south of it. You walk down First Street. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, the point is I wouldn't blame a person for being unnerved by shit like that.
You guys be voting in the Democratic primary coming up, or did you early voting?
Yes, we will be voting for the primary.
No, you're good.
Go ahead, keep going.
Yeah, so you were just saying, what are some issues to you as a New Yorker that you think the next mayor should address?
Well, I think the next mayor should address school politics, policing, homelessness, because I have like a lot of people that were like I had grown up with and were raised, they're like homeless now and they have nowhere to live. That's like a huge thing in my life to die. They have nowhere to live. So I would like, if you could change that, whoever the next mayor would be, I would love that, to appreciate that a lot.
So you're from Brooklyn, from around here?
Oh no, I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm from Harlem. My family's from Brooklyn though. Yeah. Shout out NYC, New York. We love y'all.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks.
How long have you lived in New York?
Oh my God, it's I think it's been
one time I was walking home from work in the city and I saw someone who, and I felt so bad for them, was sitting by a bus stop with a massive stack of trash. She smiled at us and like half her teeth were missing, the poor thing, but it freaked us the hell out because she smiled at us a little aggressively. I felt so bad. I never would have thought homelessness was so ruinous. Is that a bait post? No, it's not a bait post. Yeah, homelessness can be pretty ruinous. I understand what you mean, too, because there are a lot of people... Okay, now we're going to be more aggressive to chat. There are a lot of people whose opinions on homelessness are shaped entirely by internet discourse. So they act really condescending to people who actually live in real cities, okay? So as somebody who's lived in LA and Seattle, I can talk about homelessness. If you live in New York City, you can talk about homelessness. But there are a lot of people who live in suburbs or who live in, like, you know, not necessarily well-to-do areas, but areas where they don't have like a big homeless population. And then they talk about homeless people as though they've only engaged with, you know, online discourse. She smiled right at me. See, that's the thing, okay? Because if you've never experienced a person smiling menacingly at you, then I think you're lying. It's like a common thing that can happen. Maybe not like day-to-day in life, right? Like I don't normally have Yakuza-style fighting encounters initiated at me, but I think that's like one of the known expressions, right? You know, that's like a thing you could potentially do. Yeah, every time this topic comes up. Most homeless people are harmless, even the weirder ones. Yeah, but the problem is that, okay, for one, homelessness is bad because the people are homeless. Like, they're suffering out there, right? We be clear on that? The real problem from a safety perspective isn't the homeless people. It's that the bar for being civilized decreases the more homeless people there are, and not necessarily from the homeless people. It's like how crime is more common in areas that are more trash-ridden, because when you're walking down a street, and the street is really clean, you're like, yep, I'm in society. But if you walk down a street and it's disgusting and there's trash everywhere and there's like this spray paint everywhere, you know, like it looks like really run down, now you're not in a society. Now crime is fine, you know? Happens like this all the time. It's like a weird, you'd think the crime causes the trash, but oftentimes, is that a real thing? Yes, that's a real thing. That's a demonstrable... you know, the cleaning up the neighborhood initiatives are a little more literal than they may seem. Like, it actually does make a big difference. And homeless people are a part of this. So, like, for instance, and this is LA talking here, okay? You go to Skid Row, lots of homeless people in Skid Row. You know who's not going to bother you if you walk down Skid Row at night? Probably the homeless people. Why? Because they're chilling, dude. You know who will bother you? Vagrants, criminals of all kinds, drug runners, gang members, people who prey on the homeless of Skid Row, people who know they can walk freely there because they can blend into a crowd easier. They know, like, if you're gonna commit crimes, for example, in Los Angeles, where's an easier place to do it, you know? Skid Row or like East Hollywood or like nighttime Rodeo Drive. Where the f are you going after you do a crime in Rodeo Drive? Good luck with that one. I mean, people do break-ins there, but like for the most part, risky prospect, you know? No, I agree, funny rhetorician. It's just what people experience and interact with. Yeah, some places have cameras everywhere, lol. Not Skid Row. Can you explain what a vagrant is? Okay, I might be misusing the term vagrant, but I'm imagining Skid Row, okay? I'm rotating Skid Row in my mind right now. And the homeless of Skid Row have the tents on the side, and at night, they are all sleeping or like huddled in their corner because their lives are terrifying and miserable, okay? And the vagrants are the ones wandering in small groups who, when you walk near or through Skid Row, will say, hey buddy, nice night, huh? And then they'll like follow you and mug you or kill you. And I don't know if those people are necessarily like living there. I don't know if they have homes. I don't know what the deal is, but they're acting like a different group, okay? They're basically like highwaymen, okay? It's not great. You mean gangs? Well, no, they're often not part of organized gangs, right? A lot of them are, yeah, they're just like massive drug addicts, right? They're massive drug addicts who they might even have a place to crash at, but like they don't have a job, you know? So they you know, they rob people, or oftentimes, you know who they rob? They rob the homeless people. They have like protection rackets where it's like the homeless people beg for their money and then half of that gets taken by the more aggressive, you know, drug addicts. Oftentimes the homeless are also drug addicted, but, you know, cycle of violence, right? Which is not, you know, which is not great. And of course the police allow this to happen, you know, to a large extent. With their selective enforcement and their like corralling of the homeless into small districts in downtown LA and so on. You understand. There's ball lights on First Avenue by the market. Nah, not that area. Yeah, a lot of homeless people live in cars now. Plenty of that too. What's the solution to homelessness? Housing first initiatives. We know for a fact it works. No experimentation to it. It's an objectively good program that nobody wants to do because we hate homeless people.
7 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky. So, you know, I was excited for the election, you know. Louisville's like a little dot of blue and like a sea of red, so you know, important to vote there. But I like changed my registration because I was excited about this race.
Who are you excited about?
Zohran Mamdani, of course.
Yay!
And why are you voting for Zohran?
I think, well, one, I live in a rent-stabilized building. I would love for him to freeze the rent if that's going to happen. And I like that he's straightforward about his stance on like how unaffordable this city has become. I also just think it's exciting to have like momentum in a race. Like this is the first candidate that I think I've been excited about, that anyone's been excited about. So that's really inspiring too. And the city-run groceries idea, universal childcare, are all like, yeah, things I support wholeheartedly.
How have you mostly heard about Zohran? You think like through friends or social media? Or
I think I first kind of got on the train.
Hasn't broken windows theory been proven wrong? No, I think broken windows policing, because broken windows theory, I think, is like unobjectionably correct. The problem is that it was used to justify a bunch of horrendous policing policies like stop and frisk, you know? I think the holy text, I think the underlying theory is totally correct, but what they derived from it is not, you know, I believe.
With social media, I think he's been great at kind of like getting the sort of like Gen Z, maybe millennial folks to like be excited through like TikTok and Instagram. So that's how I first heard about him. And then I started canvassing with people. And got to know them just through conversations we had in person. And then it got me more and more engaged, so.
In your canvassing, what neighborhoods did you guys visit, and what was kind of the general like reaction from people?
Oh yeah, interesting. Yeah, because it was different. Like whenever I would be in Flatbush, I think we got a lot of support and a lot of people who really liked the sort of Democrats.
Okay, wait, hold on. We were talking about this earlier, but they actually have some nice stuff being cited in the Wikipedia article for it. Wiki research, broken windows theory. The idea that visible signs of crime, antisocial behavior, and civil disorder create an urban environment that encourages further crime and disorder. Social psychologists and police officers tend to agree that if I don't give a what police officers think, that if a window in a building is broken and left unrepaired, all the rest of the windows will soon be broken. This is as true in nice neighborhoods as in rundown ones. Window breaking does not necessarily occur on a large scale because some areas are inhabited by determined window breakers, whereas others are populated by window lovers. Rather, one unrepaired broken window is a signal that no one cares, and so breaking more windows costs nothing. It has always been fun. True. I saw the bit from the Netherlands. In 2007 and 2008, Kees Keizer and colleagues from the University of Groningen conducted a series of controlled experiments to determine if the effect of existing visible disorders, such as litter or graffiti, increased other crime, such as theft, littering, or other antisocial behavior. They selected several urban locations, which they arranged in 2 different ways at different times. In each experiment, there was a disordered condition in which violations of social norms as prescribed by signage or national customs, such as graffiti and littering, were clearly visible, as well as a control location where no violations of such norms had taken place. The researchers then secretly monitored the locations to observe if people behaved differently when the environment was, quote, disordered. Their observations supported the theory. The conclusion was published in the journal Science. One example of disorder, like graffiti or littering, can indeed encourage another, like stealing. Graffiti is art? Okay, white people in chat, we're doing this once more. Some graffiti is art. But if you've lived in a city with a lot of graffiti, you can tell the difference between stuff that beautifies the neighborhood and tagging. Okay, now there are some beautiful, listen, okay, I enjoyed Enter the Spider-Verse as much as the rest guy, but not all graffiti artists are Miles Morales, okay? They're not all choosing a tiny little rundown, empty, abandoned subway station and then painting a beautiful masterwork on there, okay? There's a lot of people who are just like, woo, 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 just hitting every piece of shit. Tagging is art too, it's just shitty art. Okay, it's shitty art. What about tagging shit with guys? Well, I agree with the sentiment, but it's still ugly. I mean, I agree with the sentiment, so you have my support, I guess, but like it's not like pretty. It's not like art, like beautiful. It's like when people trash bathroom stalls. People are probably more likely to piss on the floor in a bathroom that has graffiti everywhere than on the floor of a bathroom that's pristine, I feel. Housing first works? Of course it does. It objectively works. 100%. In 2005, Harvard and Suffolk University researchers worked with local police to identify 34 crime hotspots in Lowell, Massachusetts. In half the spots, authorities cleared trash, fixed streetlights, enforced building codes, discouraged loiterers, made more misdemeanor arrests, and expanded mental health services and aid for the homeless. In the other half, there was no change to routine police service. The areas that received additional attention experienced a 20% reduction in calls to police. Oh, that's nice. I'm glad they added this. The study concluded that cleaning up the physical environment was more effective than misdemeanor arrests. Nice. Okay. I was about to take contention with all of these being rolled into one. I appreciate them clarifying that in the article, genuinely. I probably wasn't going to go look at the article specifically. I would have just said, well, I would like to know whether it was the cleaning or the misdemeanor arrest that made a difference, you know? That's nice. Okay. I'm happy they clarified. After being elected mayor of New York City in 1993, Rudy Giuliani hired Bratton as his police commissioner to implement similar policies and practices throughout the city. Heavily emphasized addressing crimes that negatively affected quality of life, directed the police to more strictly enforce laws against subway fare evasion, public drinking, public urination, and graffiti. Bratton also revived the New York City cabaret law, a previously dormant prohibition ban on dancing in unlicensed establishments. Okay. Throughout the late 1990s, the NYPD shut down many of the city's acclaimed night spots for illegal dancing. Okay. According to a 2001 study of crime trends in NYC, both rates of both petty and serious crime fell significantly after the aforementioned policies were implemented. Furthermore, crime continued to decline for the following 10 years. See, this isn't a study. This is just what Giuliani did. You know, I would be interested in knowing, however, other studies do not find a cause and effect relationship between the adoption of such policies and decreases in crime. I love my woke Wikipedia. I love my woke Wikipedia. A 2017 study found when the NYPD stopped aggressively enforcing minor legal statuses in late 2014 and early 2015, that civilian complaints of 3 major crimes, burglary, felony assault, and grand larceny, decreased during and shortly after sharp reductions in proactive policing. Nice. All right, well, interesting stuff. I do feel like the left has ceded a bit too much ground on stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like a left vision of the future has to be one that is clean and orderly and pro-social. Because sometimes I feel like in order to be based, the left preemptively adopts like anti-sociality as something worthy of being defended. Like, rather than say homelessness is an abomination that should be treated with proper social policy, the fact that people are homeless in the United States is insane, you know. They do say that, but then they'll also be like, well, homeless people aren't dangerous at all, which for one isn't quite true, and for two isn't the point, because the point is like public displays of urban decay, right? It's a little dehumanizing to talk about it that way, but it's part of like a broader set of symptoms. How many lefties do you know that talk about like, we need to clean the cities up and we need to discourage tagging, right? I bet you not many, because oftentimes, right, like this is seen as like the conservative crackdown, you know, broken windows policing type stuff. But I feel like, I don't know, because stuff like this then leads to, well, what's the point in building a pretty park if everyone's just going to shit everywhere? You know, like why build a pretty park if we don't care about keeping it clean? Then no one's going to use it, you know? Like when Twitter lefties defended smoking crack in the subway. I will never forget that email that I got. Yeah. I bristle at orderly, but yeah. Yeah, I know, exactly, because orderly has been co-opted. Orderly is basically a dog whistle at this point, but orderly is also good in a city environment. Like, it's the regimentation of the urban environment that allows it to exist to begin with. You want some degree of orderliness, not like, you know, lights out at 7 p.m., no noise after 8 orderliness. I mean, like, you know, keeping the streets clean. Order like Japan. Japan is a very conservative country, but I think there are ideals that we celebrate in Japan that would probably be nice. Because like community mindedness is a very important thing if you want your city to feel like a city. But New York City does this, right? Like there are parts of New York City that feel like they have a very strong community vibe, and New York City is also very individualistic, you know? I don't know. Singapore is very orderly. True, but Singapore is also authoritarian, right? So while I think that they've managed to accomplish a lot, you know, in a civic sense, I think they've done so at the cost of something important. The Netherlands are very clean and orderly, and also I would say like there's a decent amount of freedom there, right? You can be a little disorderly in the Netherlands without the cops coming down on you and like beating you to death or whatever. And I think they do it because the government takes their role in keeping things clean very seriously. And I think that also people are kind of like proud to keep their community clean. Yeah, system dynamics should be used for good and not evil. Hot take. Hot take, but I do believe it. It is true that Japan is not as clean as people often think. But contrasted with America, where even the touristy places are filthy, it is still a step above. Is there an example of a non-conservative country with a strong cleanliness policy? The Netherlands. Even, I've showed them so many times, but like, when I was at Barcelona, which was not a super clean city, by the way, they had those tiny little cleaning cars all over the place that would drive on, they would drive on sidewalks, they would drive on promenades, they would drive down the road, and they had like 2 guys with them, and they were just power spraying everything all the time, you know? It's pretty cool. We don't have this in America. In America, we just like once a week, maybe, you have a mega truck that comes by and sprays the roads. But they don't get the sidewalks at all. You know how infrequently sidewalks are cleaned in America? It just doesn't happen, I think, actually, come to think of it. Like at all? It just doesn't happen. There's no sidewalk cleaning in most of America. Never? No, I literally mean never. Like the rain. Okay, yeah, the rain. But I mean like real cleaning, like being power blasted. But there are many sidewalks that just don't get any cleaning. New York City does it. Yeah, well, New York City is special. I mean that. Yeah, American street sweepers look like this. And they only go on roads. Beep, beep. Like guys don't like come out of them and clean the area or whatever. They just kind of like drive by and keep the roads clear. I drive it? Oh, sure. Usually they're bigger than that too. Yeah, I've seen much larger ones. This one's quite small. I mean, there's a million different companies that make them, I bet, so. Also, US cities lack public restrooms. Yeah, that's also true. You basically have to shit your pants in America. There's no other way.